Hey y'all, it's your girl Dawn, the Spiritual Diva, and I'm live. I am live. As promised, I'm keeping my schedule. I have some goals set for myself to go live every week, and that's what I'm doing. So I'm live. And a few updates. This session is going to be about the womb-heart connection, okay? That's what this live is going to be about, the womb-heart connection. So, the womb-heart connection, the womb and your heart are connected, right? Actually, your throat, your womb, and your heart is connected, right? But before we get into that, live updates, I started a podcast called Messages from the Ancestral Altar. I'm going to post it in my stories after I'm done with this live. I am having a womb Reiki sound session November 1st in Queens, New York. You must sign up and register before you can join. That is also in the link in my bio. Visit Annette'sApothecary.com. And I think those are the only updates that I have. Yes. So, the womb-heart connection, right? So, I know previously I spoke about the throat and the womb connection, right? Because when women are, and then trigger warning, when women are sexually abused, or if they're in a domestic violence relationship, or even after leaving a domestic violence relationship, they lose access to their voice. They lose access to themselves. Basically, they feel like their power has been stripped away from them, and they instantly begin to have throat chakra issues, to the point where you can no longer find your voice, to the point where you feel like the power has been taken away, because it has, after you have been sexually abused, or if you're just leaving a domestic violence relationship, right? Your voice is gone, and for me, my voice is my medicine. So when I experienced that, I lost my voice for years. Like, my voice was literally turned off. Like, if y'all ever read the story about Maya Angelou, right? When she was sexually abused over a certain amount of years, she didn't talk until, I don't think she spoke. I think she became mute up until a certain age. I could be wrong. Somebody fact check that for me. But yes, that's what happens. You lose your connection to your voice. So now it's like you have to actively not only work on your womb, but you also have to work on your throat at the same time. But what happens is, when you begin to work on your womb, your throat chakra will instantly begin to activate as well. You begin to find your voice. Your voice returns. Hey, love. Your voice returns back to you. So, I think there's a thread on my page about that, about the throat and womb connection. So make sure y'all check that out. Right now, I'm speaking about the heart and the womb connection, okay? How the heart and the womb are connected, how they're intertwined. So basically, I'm going to give a real life example, right? Say if you're in a relationship and all of a sudden your partner breaks up with you, right? Your partner leaves. It's like, okay, no, I can't do this anymore. They break up with you. And instantly, right, you begin to cry. You begin to feel the emotions that you are able to feel, which is probably rage, which is probably guilt, which is probably shame, embarrassment, right? But the next day you have to go to work. And you cannot take off work. You know that you don't have no more days or whatever. You can't take off work. So what happens is, the things that you were feeling in your heart, the womb taps in and be like, yo, bring some of that down here so that you can now have the space and the opportunity and the energy to go to work. You see what I'm saying? So basically, the womb holds what the heart can't. Those feelings of grief, those feelings of shame, those feelings of guilt, those feelings of abandonment, those feelings. Basically, the womb holds it so that you can still manage for your day-to-day. It's just like mothers, right? Say if a mother is like, she has children, and the mother's like, oh no, I don't like crying in front of my children. I can't do this. You having a moment, you break it down crying, and your child walked in the room, you clear that up real quick. Hey, turn it down, baby. You clear that up real quick, and then it's like, your womb is like, I got you. I'm going to hold you down for now. But the thing is, your womb holds the emotions, but they can only hold the emotions but for so long before it turns into something physical. Okay? So that's something that we must remember. Your womb can hold the emotions, but they can only hold the emotions but for so long. What happens is that we get so comfortable with allowing our wombs to hold whatever it is that we feel that we don't want to feel it no more. We go ahead and we do something else. We forget about everything that's been passed down to our womb from our heart, and we go on to the next thing. We never acknowledge the pain in our wombs. So that's how the fibroids come. That's how the PCOS come. That's how the cysts come. That's how the endometriosis come. Because we don't go back to address those emotions that's in our womb. We just leave it and we bypass it. And we just like, you know what? It is what it is. And then it becomes a buildup. So the thing is, everything shows up in the spiritual first. Right? Everything shows up in the spiritual, everything, and then it shows up in your emotional body, and then it also shows up then in the physical body. So you have some time to get through what you may need to get through. But the issue is we never get back to it. We always forget about it. So the thing is, right, if you ever noticed in the past,
put on a swimsuit. Put on a life vest.
The fibroids, women...
Grab a beach ball.
Okay. Women in the past did not have fibroids. It's like fibroids were non-existent. Now, if you talk to black women, because mostly fibroids are in black women, right?
Step 4. Step 5.
And almost 75% of women black women have fibroids. And it makes you wonder, like, where is this coming from? Like, how is this possible? Right? So, of course, it may be the foods, right? That's the first thing that we go to. Okay, it may be the diet. It may be, like, the environment we live in, the stress and things like that, right? But what I realized is women are not allowing themselves to feel their emotions. It's like they are cut off from the emotions. Women do not allow themselves to feel because we feel like we don't have the time to feel.
Can you fix it?
We feel like we don't have the time. Not even not have the time to feel. We don't know what emotions we're feeling. We don't know how to identify the emotions that we're feeling. Right? We don't know how to put a name to it. Like, when you ask a woman on a random day, oh, how are you feeling? I'm good. It don't go beyond that. It don't go beyond that. We have to start being in safe spaces where we can express ourselves, right? To identify the emotion and then release the emotion. Because you could be healing. You could say you're on a healing journey all day, but if you're not identifying and getting down to the root issue of what it is, all the work you're doing just going out the window because you're still not allowing yourself to feel what you need to feel. So it's like we are asking for so many new things to come in, but we have to release other things first. Because you can't just be like, okay, I'm calling in all of these things, but then you still have blockages, which means you can have those things, but they won't last. You won't be able to maintain those things because you still have the old things. You understand what I'm saying? So this is why I say we have to allow ourselves as women to understand what we are feeling, to identify what we're feeling, and to release it. A lot of women don't want to cry. It's okay to cry. Crying is a cleanse. Okay? So, back to the fibroids, right? Fibroids were almost non-existent decades ago, right? Because I always used to ask my mom, like, oh, Mommy, you don't have fibroids and you don't have none of that, none of those things like that. And she was like, no. And then, of course, as I started doing research and things like that, I'm like, a lot of women didn't have fibroids. So fibroids, I feel like, were like very new, right? So as I'm doing research, I'm like, okay, what could have brought on these fibroids? So then I went back to slavery days, right? And I'm like, okay, what happened during those days? What happened during that era? You cannot have both on. Oh, I'm sorry, baby. You cannot have both on. You gotta cut one off. And you gotta cut this one down. Okay, so back in the day, during slavery days, right? If you think about the pain that the women experience, they've experienced, what did they experience? They experienced rape, right? They experienced their children getting taken away from them. They experienced families being torn apart. They experienced their men being like, abused, and you couldn't really date. They couldn't really do nothing about it, right? Women and men, we're talking about women. Black women have experienced so much that they don't speak about, right? So what happened was their pain, their tears, the grief that they held, the silence, and everything else has been passed down generation after generation after generation. See, the thing is, we repeat the patterns until somebody in the bloodline be like, hey, you know what? It's going to stop with me. Right? So I'm going to tell you about my fibroid story, okay? So I always, not even fibroid, and then heavy periods too. Like heavy cycles, those are the things that women experience. That's a womb wound. Like heavy periods, fibroids, and there's one more that I got from my ancestors. I forgot which one it was, but they be telling me stuff, y'all. That's why I say you gotta check out the podcast. But yeah. So my fibroid story was that I was in an abusive relationship, right, for years, and I also was like, sexually abused as well, right? And I'm not ashamed to share that story or to say none of that. I'm not ashamed of that at all, because that's a part of my story, right? But after that experience, after leaving my relationship, my toxic relationship, that's when the fibroids came on, right? And I realized that they didn't like they and I know that they came because it's like I never spoke about what happened. I never told anybody like what was going on. So it's like I held all of that in. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I wasn't feeling what I was supposed to have felt. I just bypassed everything thinking that I was okay, when in reality I wasn't. And there's a lot of us out there, there's a lot of, not even because I'm okay now, I'm good now. But there's a lot of women out there that are afraid to say, hey, I'm not okay. Or to say, hey, this relationship that I'm in is not in alignment with me. It's not healthy for me. Because they would place the blame on themselves if something bad happened. Right? So I was just in a car one day, I'd taken an Uber to work, and next thing you know, my right side started hurting. I was like, yo, what is happening? It was like a sharp pain. And this happened, funny story, this happened after a guy at work who tried to like invade my space. And I didn't want to say anything. So I just kept it to myself. And I went home and I woke up the next morning. Before I got to work, I was in an Uber and I felt that pain, like right there. And it was on the right side of my womb. So if you know, I also have a thought about this too on my page. If you know, the left side connects you to your feminine energy and the right side is your masculine side. So I felt the sharp pain on the right side of my womb. So I knew that on that side, it had something to do with masculine energy. So I knew that it was that situation that happened at work, but it was also previous situations that I never spoken about. And it was just a build-up of things. So then I went to the doctor, and then I found out that I had a fibroid. And they informed me that my fibroid is like the size of a they said a pear. They said a pear. It was like, they said that it's like well, not a pear, but it's like a little mini pear. They use the word pedunculated. It's like it's hanging on by like the stem. That's what they said. So they said that it's kind of like dried up because, you know, I was like doing like, you know, my herbal teas, my herbal teas and things like that, but it's still having like, you know, banished from my womb yet. So, but yes, this is why I say that it's important for women to speak. But remember what I said at the beginning of this video, you can't speak if you lost your voice, if you lost your power, if you lost your connection to your throat. This is why there's a few things that you can do to work on that womb, heart, throat connection, right? First thing that you can do, and I have a lot of free things on YouTube, you want to talk to your womb. Okay? We pray to our heads. We pray to our ovaries. You must pray to your womb. And I always say, even if you're not pregnant, you don't have to be pregnant to pray to your womb. Pray to your womb. Talk to your womb. Ask her what she needs for today. Apologize to her. Apologize to her for allowing things that you didn't know. Okay, your womb is literally your source of power. It is your intuition. It is the seats of your divine feminine energy. And if you look at it now, if you look at the world now, feminine energy is on the upfall. It's on the horizon. Women are connecting to their wombs. Women are connecting to the waters of the womb. The thing about it is, also, some women are afraid to connect to the womb because they are afraid to go into the darkness. They are afraid to go back into the shadows of the womb. Because if they go into their own womb, they may see some things in there that they're not ready to see. Oh. Sorry. They may see some things in there that they're not ready to see. And I have a whole thing about this. I'm not gonna have my book because I be taking notes and stuff. Because I be needing this too. But it's like the power of the womb. The power of the darkness. And for the woman, it's important for us to enter those spaces. Because that's where we get our power from. That's where we get our wisdom from. The wisdom from the womb. That's where our ancestors live. That's where they come in at. Babe, pass me my red spiral notebook. Next to the printer. Yeah, it's next to the printer. So, hold on. I'm about to get my notebook. Yeah, can you turn this up for you? Got the thing on. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so this is where I be taking notes in because I be needing to like, you know, let's break it down. Okay. So what we know, what we put into our womb, right? What you put into your body goes into your brain, and that is mentally, that is spiritually, that is physically. This we know, right? So we know this. So we must have I'm not saying that you got to go vegan, but you got to have like a balanced diet. The link doesn't work on the YouTube. What? Oh, I got to update it. It's Dawn the Spiritual Doula. It's the same name as my Instagram. So, right? And this is going to go into something else. I could feel it. But I'm going to start from here. Okay? I don't want to go there. Sometimes I don't want to go there. But I'm going to go there. Okay. Boom. This one I'm going to start from. Yeah, this one I'm going to start from. Right here. Right from these notes. When I was talking about the fibroids, right? Ooh, this is real. Okay. All right. I don't know if I want to say that. People might get triggered. Okay, so if there is a physical issue, there is an issue on a mental, emotional, or spiritual level. Like I said in the beginning of this video, how things shows up in the spiritual first, and then it shows up in the mental, then it shows up in the emotional, then it shows up in the physical. Right? So you must know that what you put in your body goes in your brain. This is going to talk about the womb imprint now, all right? That's been passed down to us, right? These are the messages that I received. Where there is no spiritual law, because the spiritual law is a great mother. Where there is no spiritual law, there's no order. Where order and accountability are compromised, all will be enslaved by the lawless. So what that means is this, right? The great mother right now is on the horizon. We just have to connect to her. And we connect to her through the womb, through the waters of the womb, through our own waters, through the flow. Okay? So our purpose as women is to manifest the higher energy or the consciousness of the Supreme, right? Which is the Almighty God, right? We know that men and women balance each other equally. But now listen to this one. There is too much violence and disrespect of abuse to the women and the children. Okay? So now it is time for the woman to learn who she is, because the woman is a solution. But the woman could also at times be the problem because she refuses to learn who she is. Woman has the right to be both the teacher of both male and female, of both women and men. So our consciousness, the way we think, have a direct effect on a man's consciousness. If you ever notice, you as a woman can uplift any space you enter with just your aura. And if you don't notice, you know now, right? So the woman has a direct imprint on the children in the womb. Why? Because you carry a child for 9 months, right? Now think about this. Think about when you was in your mother's womb. Think about when if you have a child, you were in your like the child was in your womb. Because remember, you were also in your grandmother's womb while you was in your mother's womb, but that's a whole different story. If the woman don't know who she is, if the woman has no knowledge of herself, of her gifts, of her power, of her womb, then neither does the child. This is why it's important for women to have the knowledge of self and learn and understand who they are before bringing a baby into this world, so that we can teach the children who they are. And I have experienced both sides. When I had my oldest son, who's 17 now, I knew a little tiny bit, but I wasn't connected as much as I am connected now. So I can see the difference in my 17-year-old, and I can see the difference in my 3-year-old. Okay? So, if the woman has no knowledge of self, it is going to affect whoever she has in her womb. Because she has the power to create in her own likeness, after her own kind. And then the woman has 9 months to imprint the data that's in her on the child in the womb. So when the baby come out, all the imprints that you carried or that you had is not imprinted on the baby. So this is why when I see women pregnant, I always tell women, make sure you are resting. Make sure that you are always in a space of peace, in the space of joy, and in the space of love. Because those things, those imprints will get passed down to your child. That's how powerful the womb is. That's how powerful the womb is. So if a woman is in her goddess energy, right, she's going to birth, someone that's in that energy, whether it's a male, whether it's a son or a daughter. She's going to birth that. She's going to birth the godlike energy. She's going to birth the queen, the king, the queen. She's going to birth that. But if a woman is dealing with abuse and abandonment and is not being nurtured, all of that is being passed down to the child in the womb. And the child already comes out with a disadvantage. So with that being said, I want us to really think about our mother's story. Think about your womb story. Think about that. And think about the imprints that you came out with and the disadvantage that you already had in this world. And then think about undoing all of that once you begin to realize who you are. Once you begin to realize your trauma, you then have to unlearn and relearn. Unpack and repack. Build, like destroy and rebuild. which is what goes back to I said in this at the beginning of the video. Like, women have so much power, we just need to learn how to use it wisely. We have so much power, we just need to learn how to use it wisely. This is why, and I spoke about this on my podcast. I'm gonna post my podcast in the link tree. They know the power of black women. The world knows the power of black women. I feel like everybody knows the power of black women except some black women. Like, it's like we forgot. And I understand why we forgot. I spoke about this. I understand why we forgot, but we have to start remembering. Okay? I didn't even expect it to go that route, but it did. But back to the womb, okay? When we heal our womb, we heal generations. We heal the generations before us, and we heal the generations after us. 7 forward and 7 back. And everybody's like, how? How does this happen? Because when we heal, they rise. Our ancestors rise. All you really have to do is go to your ancestors and ask questions. Because that's the energy that we're moving into to 2026. In 2026, we are moving into the energy of moving from our spiritual selves. Embodying our spiritual selves. That's the energy, because it's going to be a 1 year. So a lot of things must end now. A lot of things must be over and done with before we move into our 1 year, into new beginnings. And this is where the Great Mother comes in at. Mother Earth, that's who we, you know. So we start moving with our spiritual selves, with our spiritual team, and we start moving through that with ease. Okay? So it's time for us to really just start trusting ourselves, start building a connection with our wombs. Because when we build and when we build a connection to our wombs, we are building a connection to our ancestors. And a lot of us are like afraid to tap into that realm. Because I get it. Yes, when you are building, when you are honoring and renovating your ancestors, yes, you may think things are going to come up. But that's the point. Because that's the clearing out. You can't talk about you want to heal and then you can't expect things to come up for you. Because then it's like, what are you healing? If things are not coming up for you, what are you healing? So things have to come up so they could be cleared out. This is why I said the womb and the heart connection. Things must come up from the womb, through your heart space, to the throat, so that you can release it from your mouth, from the throat chakra, speak it, and then release it. That's the connection there. The emotions come up from the womb, right? That you've been holding on to for so long. Then they come to the heart. Then it comes up through the throat and you speak it out loud. You speak it, then you release it, you let it go. Then this chakra, your third eye chakra, will start to open up. And you will see beyond the physical. Once you start seeing beyond the physical, it's more into the spiritual and moving from the spiritual, then you're connected all up here with your crown chakra, with the divine, and boom, boom, boom. You have the direct line to God. And once you have that direct line to God, you're unbreakable. So I need y'all to go listen to my podcast that I'm going to drop the link to after this video. Because I'm telling y'all, it is very, very... Things are about to look real interesting. Okay? So tap into your womb energy. Tap into your womb wisdom. For 30 days, not even 30, for 28 days, I want you to just simply place your hand on your womb for at least 5 to 7 minutes a day. And meditate. Pray to her. Breathe for her. Currently, I'm doing womb massages. I'm doing some extra things too, but I'm not going to tell you. I'm doing womb massages. I'm doing yoni steams. I'm doing my herbal teas, but I'm also going beyond that as well, because I'm now healing like ancestral wounds that are placed on my heart. I'm now saying prayers like, for my ancestors and releasing those things. So, yeah. All right. So I hope you got what you needed from this live. I know that it was probably a little bit all over the place because I didn't have my notes at first. But remember those notes. I'm going to start sharing more of those notes over my podcast because it's time to let the cat out the bag, like an elder told me. Like an elder told me, I have to let the cat out the bag and share this ancestral wisdom, because you know what they say, if a baby stays in the womb for too long, it hurts the mama. If the baby stays in the womb for too long, it hurts the mama. And in this case, the mama are my ancestors, my ancestral mothers, the primordial ancestors. So I hope you got what you needed from this live. I am going to save this. It was about the womb, heart, and throat connection. Go look at my page. I have some threads there. If you're interested, I do have Reiki sessions available, womb healing sessions available, spiritual life coaching sessions available. If you're interested, I'm going to save this so y'all can run it back for the replay. I'm also going to drop my podcast information in my stories and in my link tree. All right, y'all? Have an amazing night.